Welcome to the October edition of North St. Paul Notes. I'm your host, Paul Anderson. Coming up in the next half hour, we're going to talk about Fire Prevention Week with members of our fire department. Stay tuned. North St. Paul Notes is straight ahead. Hello and welcome to the October edition of North St. Paul Notes. We hope this show will keep you up to date on the news and events that are of interest to the residents of North St. Paul. Fire Prevention Week is in early October, and this year's theme is Hear the Beep Where You Sleep. I'm going to ask them to explain that. I'm joined today by three members of the North St. Paul Fire Department, including our Chief, Scott Dudek, Deputy Fire Chief Jason Mallinger, and Fire Inspector Daniel Cryer. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us, Paul.
I guess a special welcome to Dan Cryer because he's new to the business. And how long have you been with the group, Dan?
I've been fire inspector for 2 months, and I've been on the department for almost 2 years.
Oh, you have? So
Yeah.
you're a veteran of sorts.
Almost, working my way there.
Yeah. And now you're learning even more about the business.
Yep, learning about the day-to-day stuff that makes the city run and the fire department work during the day.
Right. Have you been a resident of North St. Paul for a while, or?
No, I crossed the border. I live in Oakdale. I grew
Oh.
up in Oakdale, and I
Okay.
just so happen to still live within our response zone.
Sure.
So I can be on the North St. Paul
Yeah.
department.
I guess I just assumed that you lived in North St. Paul because I knew that was a minor requirement.
Yeah, we have either living within the city or within a response time, required
Okay.
response time, and Dan
Sure.
fits that. Yes.
That's right. And you have had a number of, city workers on the fire crew. So
Yeah, we've been very blessed with that, having both fire department personnel working in other departments within the city, which gives us a good response during daytime calls when a lot of departments are low on that type of membership or staffing. So we've been very fortunate over the years to have that.
sure. Well, we always know when the Fire Prevention Week is coming because we always seem to get you guys on the air. So
Yeah, tis the season. This year it's October 4th through the 9th is National Fire Prevention Week, and Jason, Deputy Chief Mallinger, has always done a great job with that in our elementary schools and other schools throughout the community that we work in, and administering a fire poster contest, and then we go out into the schools and do fire prevention talks and fire safety talks and things like that, and I'll let him explain some of those details.
sure. You want to talk about that a little bit, Jason?
Yeah, definitely. So Fire Prevention Week, like Scott said, we love to get out and go to the schools. Along that line, we also have groups that come to the fire department and do tours, and we talk about our equipment and fire safety and fire prevention. Like you said, this year's theme, which was picked by NFPA, is Hear the Beep Where You Sleep.
NFPA
National Fire Prevention
organization.
Right. So
Okay,
we follow them nationally as far as they put out the message that everybody's going to follow uniformly, and present that message to during your fire prevention when you go out to the community, whether it's kids or adults. Basically, the goal is to get that theme out. And Hear the Beep Where You Sleep is about making sure that everybody has a smoke detector in their bedroom and making sure that it's operating. That's where we are, nationally are losing lives. It's within our homes, and it's because we don't have the proper detection in there that can wake us up in the middle of the night
Right.
when we're asleep. It's typically the simplest thing of just having a working smoke detector in the right place to protect you, and that's within the bedroom where you sleep.
It's kind of interesting to have this year's theme to be that, hear the beep where you sleep. And going back to smoke detectors, I look at it as a basic standard thing that we should be farther ahead than what we are with the deaths and injuries that we're having with people not having smoke detectors. Smoke detectors is something that we've talked about for a long, long time, many years, and different themes over the years have been, kitchen safety, kitchen fires, candles, all those different types of themes, and coming back to hear the beep where you sleep is really, in a sense, coming back to basics, and that basic smoke detector has proven to really be a very cost-effective, life-saving device that people really need to pay attention to and not take it for granted.
Sure. Is the problem, I know a lot of places, a lot of people have smoke detectors, but they don't necessarily maintain them the way they should. Is that part of the problem, do you think?
That is part of the problem. A lot of people will believe that, once they have a smoke detector, they can put it up and it's always going to work. There are different types of detectors that are required in homes, depending on the age of your home and when it was built. And if anybody has any questions about that, they can always call the fire department. We can help answer those. But whether it's a battery-operated detector, we ask that everybody test their smoke detectors once a month. And every 6 months.
I'm guilty.
Yeah, every 6 months, when we turn our clocks back, which is going to be coming up in a month or so, or again, to change those batteries to keep those functioning. Smoke detectors have a life expectancy, so 10 years is the max that we'd like to see the age of a smoke detector. And a good way of checking that is taking it down and looking for that manufacturing date on it. And I would say if you take yours down and you don't see a manufacturing date, that's a pretty good clue that it's pretty old and it's time to replace.
Yeah.
One of the programs that we're looking at and working towards is one of the other cities that we work very closely with and have a great relationship is the city of St. Paul. Chief Butler there has developed a program well over the years. It's called Safe Haven, and it's a program with smoke detectors and stovetop extinguishers, portable stovetop extinguishers, and they've done a program where they do a home safety inspection and in some cases provide those smoke detectors where needed and install those in the homes. And that's a model that we're working with St. Paul on. They're willing to partner or let us use portions of that, and we're working to look and see if we can provide something like that in the coming year. So we can stay tuned for that, and we'll see how that program develops.
So it's been my impression that the number of incidents, fire incidents in the city have been fewer than in the past. Is that a safe thing to?
Yeah, I think so. Our calls have changed over the years, as all departments have. I mean, we're doing now, just in raw numbers, 25% of our calls are fire-related calls. 75% of our calls are medical-related calls. So whether they be medicals, traffic accidents, whatever type of thing like that. So that change has happened over the years. But I also correlate that the inspection program that we've been doing over the years has a direct effect on some of those hazard-type fires or problems that we've had in the past because of the inspection program. And it's not to have that heavy-handed, program that's causing disruption to homeowners or businesses and that, but really trying to do a safety inspection that benefits all and is a true benefit to the resident or property owner in being safe and protecting their property.
Well, this is also a good opportunity to tell residents about the risky situations that you might experience in your inspections. Maybe can you cite a few examples of things that you've run into? I don't know, maybe Dan, in the short time you've been there, you've seen some of those things. So.
Yeah, and, I think quite a few inspections we found that much of it comes down to expired smoke detectors or smoke detectors requiring new batteries. So it all goes back to the theme of this year's
Sure.
Fire Prevention Week of making sure that they work and they're installed properly.
Right.
Some other things that we've seen on a lot of them could be electrical hazards, such as having non-GFI outlets near sinks or other water sources. I mean, that's an electrocution hazard.
Sure.
So we look for things like that. We also look for just general safety and aesthetics to a house and make sure that it fits in the neighborhood appropriately.
Yeah. Jason, do you have any other thoughts?
You know, when we first started, I should say, when I first started on the inspection department for the fire department, and we were going out to a lot of the more commercial and multi-families, we were coming across a higher list of problems, and of those problems were some of them what Dan mentioned, and a lot of times extension cords inappropriately used that were causing electrical hazards, which typically cause a lot of fires. Some of those other things that we, asked to maintain clearances around your water heater, clearances around your furnace, and again, keeping combustible storage away from those types of units to prevent, a fire from happening. And like Scott said, even though 25% of our calls are fire related, I think the severity of our calls over the years have decreased because of this fire prevention.
Sure.
So, in the 10, 12 years that I've been doing this, we've seen that list shrink. I mean, we still go out and we still find issues, and we like to educate and inform people so we don't have a severe call or any type of call
Right.
that affects a homeowner or business owner that's going to ultimately be a problem.
Okay.
The other one that in our early programs was a lot of potential carbon monoxide
Right.
issues, because we had started a program with requiring heat tests on furnaces. And when we first started doing that, we found several furnaces that were unknowingly had cracked heat exchangers and were potentially emitting carbon monoxide into the residents. So a lot of those things have been taken care of and were found in inspections that people didn't know about. And so now we do those on a regular basis, but a number of years apart, so that it's not a hindrance on property owners. But so there's a lot of different safety levels that have really improved over the years, and I think overall it definitely has benefited the property owners.
Well, before we leave the fire idea, or the fire suggestions, I can't help but mention that even though some of our viewers will see this program later in the month, and it'll be past that time, but we have to mention the Booyah that's coming up. And you want to mention something about
Absolutely. October 11th this year is on Sunday, October 11th at Casey Park. We'll be serving. Serving will begin at 11 a.m. and will continue until it's gone. So come early, bring your large kettles. We usually sell out very quickly.
that? Like 12:30 or?
We've had cases where we've sold out within an hour, and sometimes a little bit longer. But weather plays a big factor in it, and
Right.
but people have been calling us for several weeks, wondering when the Booyah is this year, and it's actually a little bit later this year than past year. So again, this year it's Sunday, October 11th at Casey Lake Park on 17th Avenue.
Okay. And the Booyah is a long tradition with the North St. Paul Fire Department, and it's as I understood it from way back, it's a secret recipe, and I don't know who holds that recipe now. Maybe you can't say.
Yeah, one of our members on the fire department continues to hold that recipe, and proud Weber.
And his relatives held it for.
Yes, Scott Weber is the current holder of the recipe, and
Right.
we continue to be proud to continue that tradition.
And I understand it's probably the best Booyah in the Twin Cities area.
No, it is the best.
Oh, no question about it. Well, that's a vote of confidence, and it's
That's
one
right.
of my favorite Sundays when
Yep.
that's held. So.
Yeah, please come down and join us.
Yeah, I won't be helping to prepare it, however. That's too late for me. It starts what time?
11 a.m. serving.
But I mean preparing.
We actually start working on it Saturday morning, 7 a.m.
Okay.
preparing vegetables and just getting all the prep work and everything ready, and then cooking begins Sunday or Saturday evening ready for serving Sunday morning.
Right. Another part of your job, I know, is code compliance, or maybe you prefer that over code enforcement. I'm not sure which way you'd like to hear it.
It is. I mean, code enforcement has been something that we've worked with for several years, but code compliance is really a term that we're using more so than code enforcement. And same way with like the fire prevention things. We like to think about the code compliance as, and Dan, Jason, and we've got a couple other part-time people in the fire department that we're working with, and we're really making a strong effort on that right now. And Jason and Dan can both talk more about that also, but we're really making a strong effort to use that code compliance wording, if you will, but to use it as an educational piece, and really it being out trying to go through the community as a whole, being a proactive, not just waiting for calls or complaints from residents, because we receive several of those,
Sure.
but actually trying to go through the community as a whole and doing those code compliance reviews, and then letting people know what type of deficiencies are there. And so far, for the most part, we've had a great success with people responding to that they were just either unknown or they didn't know what was actually
Right.
required. And so far it's worked very well, and I'll let these guys expand into
Yeah,
that.
I could see where compliance sounds a little better than enforcement, because that kind of limits you to
Sure.
something that sounds a little more negative, and compliance is a little better term.
And like Scott said, I mean, we want to work with the community and work with everybody, and a big piece of that is education and letting them know of the codes. Like Scott said, most of the time people just may not be aware of the issues, so we want to educate them, let them know, and also have some compliance there with issues.
And I know there's some changes this year that you're dealing. You added a couple of part-time people.
We did. We have
To the
two
department?
of our firefighters on the department that are working part-time, working on the code compliance. So basically all the outdoor code compliance issues, be tall grass, basically yard compliance
Right.
issues. Jason and Dan have been primarily working on some of our building inspections, our rental housing inspections, our commercial inspections, and allowing their time to be freed up to be doing that work. And then the other two, Ron Keenley and Doug Chesvold on our fire department, are both working on a part-time basis, doing the code compliance inspections and working that side of it.
I know that a compliance officer isn't always greeted with open arms. You probably had some experiences with that.
Yeah, often at first, especially when you're our approach is to talk to the property owner at first. And a lot of times, I mean, people understandably would be standoffish to somebody, no matter who it is, coming onto your property and bringing up these issues. But again, we want to make it a friendly educational piece to help them and help the community and the neighborhoods to kind of not just maintain and sustain what we have, but to kind of bring things back up to keep the neighborhoods and community looking good.
Right. Are you, Dan, you and Jason, working in a certain area? I know you're working with the outdoor situation, but are you doing the multiple housing, that kind of thing, more than residential inspections inside?
So the city has a rental licensing program, and so whether that's a single-family home or a multifamily facility, a license is required if it's a rental, and so we'll inspect both, whether it's a home or an apartment. Right now, we've been focusing mostly on the single-family homes, just because if it requires a lot of exterior work, then we want to make sure it's done now before everything is frozen or
Sure.
too cold to get outside. And then in the winter, I think we'll start focusing on apartments and complexes
see.
where it's more interior hazards
Sure.
or deficiencies.
Okay. So the system has been working well, and I guess I can't help be happy for Jason after being in that position himself for about a year, probably,
Right.
at least. I know
Right.
last year when we talked to you, you were the only
Right.
officer dealing with that.
Right. There was a lot going on, so it's really nice
guess
at
so.
this point to see, not just from the my own benefit, but the standpoint from the work being done.
Sure.
Like Scott's saying, for Dan and I to be able to focus on the inspections and have the 2 part-time guys looking at code compliance, they're making a huge impact. They're able to be more proactive because they have more time to be proactive, where Dan and I would deal with the complaints as they would come in and address those issues. And we would filter in our proactive, but definitely the part-time guys have more time to be proactive and get out into the neighborhoods and talk to people and address some of these issues. So, and that's what they're doing. It's all exterior property issues. They're not going inside anybody's home. They're addressing exterior property maintenance type issues, parking on the grass, or like Scott said, tall grass, and some of those types of issues.
Trash containers.
Yep, trash containers, all of the like. And similarly, when we talked about having staff in other departments, this also continues to give us a boost as we've lost some people in other departments that have retired or whatever over the years. This also gives us a boost in the fire department for daytime response for medicals or fire calls,
Sure.
because we have these additional part-time people that are around during the day. So both doing these compliance inspections, we're also out in the field and are able to respond to calls very quickly. So it's really helped a wide range of issues.
If someone in a neighborhood has concerns, is it easy to let you know what those concerns are?
Yeah, we have several ways. I mean, they can call us by phone if they'd like. If they want to talk about something on our website, they can go on the city's website, and there's a section, report a problem, ask a question.
Okay.
So they can click on that section, and they can report a problem or a question if they have something, and they can do that either leaving their name and phone number, or they can also do it anonymously, and we receive that information right away, and then we have a tracking system that we enter that into so that we can follow up with what the concern is and make sure that it's handled.
Okay. And do you feel like the system is working better now than it ever has? I imagine with added personnel.
I do.
it makes
Yeah,
it-
we were just talking about that yesterday, and we've never operated like we have right now with a combination of the staffing and some of the programming changes and things that have taken place. That we're really getting out there, and the intention. We certainly haven't gone through the whole community, but that's really our ultimate goal, is to get through the community. And again, it's not to be that invasive, going in people's yards, but it's doing that drive-by and what's seen from the streets, that the public image of things, and really trying to maintain and improve our public image of our community and maintain those values. And I think everybody respects that and wants that, though they may have some issues on their own. They're also receive those comments openly. Do we have some that are unhappy? Sure, we always do and always will. But we have a lot of people that as soon as we talk to them, they take care of it quickly.
And I think a lot of people don't look at any of the code requirements. They don't see those typically. Is there a place that they can go to get
There is.
information?
We do. The codes are all on the city's website, but that is also something that we just met again recently on, and we're working on putting together a whole program, if you will, that will be available by our website, and also handouts that can be available to people. Listing. For example, maybe we have working on a program that we'd list the top 10 or 20 items that people should be aware of to help maintain their neighborhood, and things they should or shouldn't do in their yards, and things like that, just to be a good neighbor. And I guess that's really the other thing is courtesies more than a code.
Right.
It's almost the top 20 courtesies that you should be aware of to be courteous to your neighbor and your neighborhood.
That's right. I think I agree with that too often people don't look at it that way, and that creates problems for the neighborhood. So
I would suggest, if anybody has questions about a specific code, sometimes there's a lot within the code. Whether
It's
you're
not exciting reading.
It may seem difficult and challenging to find whether online, even though it's available
Right.
there. Always give us a call. We're available to talk and
Right.
answer any questions.
Sure. Well, this has been interesting. We are practically out of time, but is there any last comments that you might want to make?
The
that
other,
we
yeah, the
didn't
other thing I'd
cover?
like to mention, Paul, is just to put out to our viewers that if anyone in the community or within our response area is interested in a fire department career or becoming a member of our department, we'd encourage them to contact us. We're always looking for staff members from the department.
Sure.
It's a paid on call department, so it's
Which
not,
means,
you're paid per call. It's a kind of a volunteer / paid per call department. So it's not a full-time job. It's not anything like that. But you're paid per call to be there. So you carry a pager. We put you through all your training and pay for all those items. So if there's viewers that are interested in it and they have it's a big time commitment, but it's also
Right.
very rewarding. I would encourage them to contact us.
well, thank you. We've been talking to Scott Dudek, Fire Chief, and Jason Mallinger, Deputy Fire Chief, and Dan Cryer, Fire Inspector, a new guy on the block. So glad you're with us, Dan.
Thank you.
Hope everything goes well for you. We are out of time on this month's show. Join us again next month when we'll bring you more news about North St. Paul. I'm Paul Anderson, speaking for everyone at the City of North St. Paul. Thank you for watching.